Now we're going to talk about styling apps. And first, we'll talk about styling edit forms. We'd like this delete button to somehow be emphasized to make sure that users are careful when they use it. So let's set some style on here. We'll add a border, we'll make that solid, make that width 3. Now we'll select a border color, make that a nice bold red. We'll set a background color. Let's give that a good contrast. And we'll make the text black. We'll also make the text italic. And there we can see the result. It's not very appealing, but we'll come back to that. It would be nice to try updating the style of all of the buttons, but we don't want to do them all individually, so we can use what's called a shared style. Each object has a set of shared styles, and here we can see one that's default for all elements and one that's across all buttons. So let's edit that. We'll set the background color and the text color. And we'll make the text italic. And now we can see all the buttons other than the delete button have been updated, and that's because the delete button has its own style. If we remove the styling on the delete button, this will then get the style set in the shared button style. So let's just see that. Okay, now all the buttons will look the same. It's still not a very appealing style, so let's unset that and we'll use something different to highlight the delete button. So here we'll just clear out the styling elements of the shared button style, but we'll leave the text italic, that looks okay. What we'll use now is a CSS property. These are useful when you want to set a style which is not available in the standard style settings or involves a state. If you've used CSS before, these should be familiar. For the CSS tag background color, the value is a color. You can find color pickers on the web, but you can also open the configuration form for an object from an edit form. You can use any object for this. Use the color picker to find a color you like. Copy and paste the hash value into the CSS property editor, then close the other configuration window, making sure you don't save your changes. Next, we'll select the state. We want this style to apply only when the mouse is over the object, in this case a button. So we choose mouse over. So we can see now when we move our mouse over the button, it turns orange. I'm fairly happy with that, so I'd like to apply it to all buttons. So I'll update the shared button style to use that CSS property. There's a nice quick way of doing this. I'll open the shared button style, and I can simply drag the CSS property from my delete button into this style. And this will now apply to all buttons, so let's just try that. The final step is to do the thing I originally set out to do, which is to give the delete button a special emphasis. So I'm going to set the mouse over color on delete to be bright red. So I'll update the CSS property for the delete button to be red on mouse over, and this will override the property it gets from the shared button style. As before, I'll pop open a configuration form for another object from the edit form, and I'll use the color picker in there to find a red I like. I'll copy that value into the CSS property, then close this form without saving the changes. Right, let's save this CSS property, and we can see now that delete has a special emphasis when the mouse is over.